welcome to the show. Thank
Thank you
you
very
for.
much.
Yeah. Amazing, awesome. Okay, so we'll just start right at the beginning. So your interest that it might be a bit odd to ask, but I know for a fact in like the British esports scene, FIFA is like the thing, or for the people
hmm
in Britain, like FIFA is the main game, right? So what was it that like the FPS genre gave you that made you come into the world of esports?
Ooh, what FPS brought me into? So, okay, the FPS that brought me into the world of esports was CS, of course, but not for the FPS element. I used to play Dota with a friend in school, and he used to talk about how he used to watch his brother on community maps, his older brother on community maps, play games like Jump Rope and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I thought that sounds fucking awesome. I just want to play Jump Rope on PC, man. So I got CS for like the community mini games, and then discovered that you can go shooty shooty bang bang and then did that instead. And I just got quite good quite quickly. And when you're good at something, it's very easy to love it. So that was one thing led to another.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, why casting then? What is it about
Ooh,
casting that's really enticing to you that you find like
um,
that you want to spend like the rest of your life potentially doing?
um, I like I, I like being able to describe my sort of thought process and sort of feelings towards games. And especially when I'm doing it with co-casters, my co-caster like selection process has been really good. So I've had M and J, Leg Day, and Pavlos,
Yeah.
who are all fucking brilliant co-casters. So it's never felt like a job. It's felt like I've just been with a mate and we've been shouting about a match. Um, in the same way you'd go to a football match and just support a team. Except when you're casting, you're supporting both teams. So
Mm.
it's pretty cool that way. I can see myself doing it for the rest of my life. I think I'd maybe not want esport for the rest of my life, but at the moment, I think next kind of good 5 years or so, maybe even 10, I would love to be, sort of in the sort of CS Valorant space.
Yeah. So like FPS is what you're kind of locked into right now.
Yeah, I can cast Dota. The issue you have with stuff like Dota, and I guess it's for Valorant as well. And when you have the DPC, which is the Dota Pro circuit, you've got kind of huge circuit which has got all these majors, these minors, these great, brilliant games on. Then of course you lead up to the international. The issue is outside of that, it can be very hard to get into casting. And then
Mm.
once you're even established as a tier kind of two, tier three caster going up into DPC can be even harder. So I imagine the same is going to happen in Valorant, sort of come the next couple of years, where if you are in a franchise slot, fucking brilliant. But if you're not, I want to see sort of how the growth works between Ascension to franchise for producers, observers, and casters as well.
Okay. So yeah, and that's where like it's a bit more forgiving in the Counter Strike
hmm
space because like
Yeah.
it's like the talent is there, but like the
Yep.
opportunities is really like they are more handed out, if you can say
Yeah.
it like that, right?
Yeah.
Um,
I think the CS is probably one of the only esports where it's a little bit cutthroat, at
yeah.
least in the casting sense. And I think that's why a lot of tier one casters who have gone to Valorant, I think they haven't anticipated the competition.
Mm,
Like you need to remember that the guys who are coming up, even the guys in India who would kind of come for me at some point, which I'm quite looking forward to actually.
yeah.
They're going to research the matches they're casting. Days and days and days beforehand. They're going to have every strat written down, prepared, and talking points for all of them. And and this is something that any caster should sort of take as advice is you may not be better in like natural skill, but you can work harder, and that
Yeah.
is that'll carry you really far. And I think what you find is maybe not so much in Valorant, maybe a little bit in CS, maybe even a little bit in Dota, is the very top have got a little bit complacent, which is
Mm.
why we're seeing this emergence of tier two talent. Like a good example is what are their names? I should know this. Hugo and Harry,
Oh
who
yeah,
have
yeah.
now just exploded onto the scene because they've been hungry for it. They grinded and grinded and grinded. They got the opportunity, didn't blow it, and just fucking took off.
They are one of the few like I even like people, but like that thrived throughout the pandemic because that's where they rose up because like nobody
Yeah,
wanted to do the
absolutely.
insane hours that they did, and they basically
Yeah,
were on every single broadcast.
yeah. That was 67 tournaments I think I covered in 1 year,
Holy.
which is
Yeah.
I think for reference, this year I've cast about 30. Like
Yeah, and that's
it
still a good
is,
year. Like,
it's fucking mental. The especially the guys who did like the relog circuit,
yeah.
like you got kind of Neokai Retro, ExWarrior, Wild Deity, M&J, Truman. You know they
Yeah.
fucking put in so many hours, and I'm quite honored to be amongst their names, to be honest, because when you put in that many hours, it's hard to not, you know, grow from it.
Yeah, exactly. But also, like, when you put that much energy into it, couldn't you, like, isn't
Hmm.
that an argument for you maybe, like, becoming, maybe not bored, but at least, like, seeing the same teams over and over again? Like, it becomes a bit stale, right?
That's why I moved to Valorant.
Yeah. Oh, so that's the
Yeah,
main reason.
yeah, I think you can definitely burn out, and I think the mistake I made with CS was I'd played CS for years and years and years and years, and that was while playing in teams as well, so it's quite intense CS.
Hmm.
Then followed by casting, where it was a job, so also very intense. I never got a break from it, and what would happen is I'd finish casting CS, then I'd go to play CS, and
Yeah.
there was no differential between work and life. And so that's why I think sort of you see casters burn out quite a lot.
Okay, so yeah, well, you mentioned it yourself, like Valorant. You know, you chose it. Like, do you think you chose like a good time to get into it, and maybe even before that, before
Mm.
you answer that, like, why Valorant? Like, what is it that's
So,
speaking so good to you? Like, what, like, if you can maybe, okay, let's do it like this. Okay, try and play like the devil's advocate of, well, where you were in CS, and then
mhm.
why, like, what the pros and cons were for
Yeah,
coming to Valorant, and then maybe like the good and the bads. If you try and compare it maybe a bit.
okay. So the pro for staying in CS was I already had contacts. I knew that the CCT circuit was sort of coming up, and I was sort of in contention for that. The issue I had though was I'd stopped working with M&J. We'd
Mm.
sort of taken a split. No, like drama or anything. It's just we both went different ways. And I wanted to expand into Valorant anyway, just so I had another esport under my belt, as a just in case. And I sort of had a period of time, like a couple of months, where I didn't have a co-caster. And I was sort of murking my way through tournaments. And I was sort of bitching to one of my friends from college, and I was saying, this is shit. Yeah, I really want to have a duo. And he said, he's this big Overwatch nerd. And he went, I watch contenders all the time. Have you heard of this guy called Leg Day? No, never heard of him. I went, well, reach out to him. Have a Valorant caster. I went, yeah, sure. All right, whatever. Um, Leg Day's first message to me was, hey King, just grab some Red Bull Pog. And I thought, I'm gonna fucking hate this guy. I'm gonna fucking hate him. And we did like one or two casts together just as practice. And the dude was so talented.
Mm.
Like it's when you hear someone and you think, how the fuck am I ever gonna compete with that? And he heard me and thought I was all right. So yeah, fucking thank God for that. And we then went, okay. I look in CS. I'll either merc with duos, and the guys I was merking with, like Truman, Retro, Neo, they're fucking good casters. They're doing ESL stuff at the moment. They're good, but you're never going to be as good as you are in an established duo.
Yeah.
So it's either I move, and you can hear from Leg Day. If anyone's heard a Leg Day cast, he's fucking talented. So either I go to Valorant, take on Leg Day becomes my sort of mentor, sort of co-caster, and we just grind and we see what we can do. Because in Overwatch, you don't have the cutthroatness you do in CS.
Mm.
Like you have Papa Blizzard, and that's that. And you make them happy, you do contenders, and then you go to Overwatch League if Papa Blizzard decides it. Whereas in CS, it's you need to nail every cast, otherwise someone's going to take the next one from you. And so it was me sort of teaching Leg Day that, Leg Day sort of teaching me how to improve. And so the option was sort of, we did, I think, about 200 hours of practice casts before anyone even heard us. And so
That's a long
we
time.
sort of, yeah, after sort of the first 10, 20 maps together, we sort of realized we can actually be very good. Like,
Yeah.
I see the potential to be very good in this. So we went, okay, CS is on the back burner, full focus on Valorant. And then after the full focus on Valorant, we went, okay, where do we cast? We do NA. Loads of good players. The casters in NA. We could do Europe. Europe's dominated at the moment. They've got their duos. Or we could do Asia, which is a little bit of a curveball, but we'll give it a try. Because Leg Day started Overwatch in Asia, so we already have some contacts there.
Yeah. Okay.
So we went, fuck it, we'll try Asia, we'll see what it goes. Messaged every Asian TO there is. None of them hired us. The only ones that would hire us were the Indian ones. And so our first like 3 events were Indian, then we had the MYSG stuff. And that was our first VCT event.
Yeah.
And so we saw sort of how the Indian fan base reacted to us. And bear in mind, I've just come from CS, so it's kind of toxic.
Yeah.
And so we had the Indian fan base, and they were sweethearts. And it sort of occurred. It's weird to go from just being a caster to being someone who's actually quite liked. And so we went after the first couple of events in India, we went, well, I like it here. Like, yeah, the pay will be better in Europe for sure, but I like it here. So we get out of loyalty to India, as they were loyal to us. We sort of stayed doing their circuit and just focused on APAC. So if you look at sort of both mine and Leg Days tournaments in Valorant, we have I think 1 American one, I think 1 or 2 European ones, and everything else is Asian.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, interesting. What is it about Valorant? It gives you a new kind of challenge, right?
Ooh.
Because of the ability.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. I love it. You can go into stat mode.
Yeah.
Which is where you can break down. In CS, you see the same executions quite a lot. In Valorant, because you have that extra layer of difficulty when it comes to ability management, suddenly you have this whole option of possibilities. And so as a color caster, it makes my life so much easier. I can only say slow default into A so many times, right?
Yeah.
But in Valorant, there's always something different.
Yeah. Okay. And what about the viewers? Because when you cast the CS, and that's in general, right? When you cast the tier 2, tier 3, it's a lot of betters that's watching, and you don't really feel connection to the viewers, and you are more
absolutely categorically,
puppet, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That's quite different in Valorant, isn't it?
Yeah. So in CS, I think especially for the relog circuit, we're averaging 2-3K viewers per game. Then the bigger games sort of were clearing sort of 10K. In Valorant, a lot of our stuff was only a couple of hundred viewers, but the chat was more active, even though it was a couple of hundred viewers, because all of them were just nice. All of them were kind. All of them were there because they loved the game or they loved the team, and I don't think it's hard to describe without seeing it. But once you see it, it's like, holy shit, this is something precious.
Yeah, exactly. That's something that's worth fighting for, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so what about so what about the entire the thing of casting Valorant, because Counter-Strike is it's pretty linear in that sense. It's very deep, right? But it's linear, whereas Valorant is more wider and also deep as well. How was the challenge of grasping Valorant as a game and learning the game and then being knowledgeable enough to be confident enough to cast it?
Yeah. With Valorant, I kind of faked it till I made it. I think our first couple of casts, actually, I'm so sorry TEC for announcing this now, but hey, yeah, it's in the past. We did well at the event. For our first 2 or 3 tournaments, I still didn't know the map names.
Oh shit.
And so I was googling the maps and callouts as we were casting.
Yeah.
Same for ability names. And what I would do is with Leg Day is we would quickfire ability names. So it'll be, what's the on ult? Be overdrive. Yeah, and we would do that to and then when we would play Valorant as well, we wouldn't use the slang. We would use the real names. So we would be saying, Raze, can you use your showstopper? And they'll be going, what the fuck are you on about, you dumb but yeah, that's sort of how we got to grips with it. And of course, the more you cast, the more familiar you get. Then I think for me, it was terms of recognizing defaults and executions came from CS.
Yeah.
But in recognizing ability management and the nuances of strategies, that came with just a lot of practice. And what you find is, and I sort of, and now I am a caster, I understand it. But casters are really approachable. So I just messaged a few casters going yo boys, the fuck are we doing? And they would sort of break down a caster as the coach, the analyst for Ascend, Leica, I think goes by comment now. He was with us. He left Ascend just before they won Masters. he is a fucking hero. Like
Hmm.
he just watched our VODs because we'd sit in Discord, me and Leg Day, we'd just cast, record it, send it to Comet, and Comet would tell us what was wrong with it. And so he would go, "Why are you calling the old orb that black circle thing?" I was like, "Ah, an old orb, that's what it's called." And we would, and we would learn it like that. Then there was what's an sorry, I'm terrible with names, as you can tell.
Yeah, yeah.
Sam Naori Mizuki, I think that's the username. She runs a casting school, and so just chucked one of our VODs in there. It doesn't have to be the worse the VOD is, the better there is, the more there is to critique.
Yeah.
So we just did the one we did that day, send it off to her, see what she thinks, and she sort of told us how to recognize playing for alt orbs, how to recognize positioning based on spawn walls, what the strategy is going to be, and then went through that, worked a bit more, did a bit more. Leg day got an offer from Overwatch League, and so I did tell him, if you don't take Overwatch League, I'm gonna slap you.
Yeah.
So he went to Overwatch League. I started working with Pavlos, and when we were in the LCQ in Dublin, this is fairly recently, the last couple of months, because you're still learning. Always, you're still learning. And when we were at the LCQ, there's a fella called Degon. He mainly does League of Legends stuff, but he's also
Yeah,
done
I know
Valorant
him.
as well.
I know him. He's a
Yeah,
part
yeah.
of
So
like
Degon was sort of
yeah.
yeah. So he was explaining to us how when a play is coming, the color sets it up, the play by play does all the hype, and then the color brings it back down.
Hmm.
The issue we had was we were going up and we were just staying up. We weren't coming back down. And so now that Degon sort of explained that, it's something else for us to work on, something else for us to change and try out. And so yeah, it was pretty cool.
Ah,
That's sort of how our progression's going at the moment.
yeah, that's amazing. You mentioned Pavlos, so I wanna
Hmm.
like yeah, let's start with you and him as a duo, because like for
Hmm.
people that don't know, most of you won't. We did the Dink podcast. We did like 6 episodes. It was really fun. Completely like
It was also an excuse to get really drunk.
yeah,
Like,
exactly.
that's all that podcast was.
Yeah, basically. but how was it for you? Like you knew each other pretty well, I guess. Like not
Mhm.
only from that, but also from prior. And like how was it coming in and working with a guy that you actually knew pretty closely, whereas
Um,
before you
helped
only just
helped massively.
yeah you just learned
Yeah.
what's it called leg day to know, right? Like you just
Mhm.
yeah
Yeah. So with Pavlos, because we already knew each other, we were we're still friends before we were casting, so we're still sort of messaging each other every day. And I had a tournament come up which like they couldn't do because he had Overwatch League. So I said, hey, Pavlos, want to give it a try? Pavlos started filling in more and more for leg day.
mm,
So rather than being jumped in at the deep end with him, we sort of eased into casting together, which was a much easier approach than having to do it sort of on the fly.
yeah
It also meant we could reduce how many hours we had to put in practice before we did the bigger tournaments, which really helped.
okay. Amazing. So you went to India with Pavlos. Uh,
Yeah.
can you try and describe that experience? Because I saw a lot
It's
on
fucking
Twitter.
hot in India, man.
Uh,
It's fucking
yeah.
hot. Like, it's currently 4 degrees in the UK, and I'm sweating. Like,
Hmm.
I I'm really good in the cold. Unfortunately, we cast in Asia, so yeah, the tournament was fucking incredible. Actually, meeting fans was a mind-boggling experience. Being able to see the teams, being able to see the players, and then of course another LAN event with Pavlos. It was my first Valorant event with a crowd as well. So Pavlos sort of helped me a little bit with sort of crowd management.
Hmm.
Luckily, color, I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But it was nice to see him sort of show me how to do it anyway. Um, and of course, we'd already done studio work in Dublin for the LCQ. So it's just nice chance to see my boy.
Yeah. That's crazy. Because like, um, I saw a lot of pictures, and followed the
Mhm.
results and stuff like that. But like, what really impressed me was like the amount of engagement you got with everything that you did, talking about like the scene. It
Yeah,
really showed how passionate they were. But
absolutely.
well,
And I tell you what, it's
hmm?
my cheat code for this as well. Is because a lot of my followers are Indian. If I just put something in Hindi,
Yeah.
it's like even though my Hindi's fucking terrible, and if I ever were to attempt to bastardize the language in speaking it, it would probably be a grave insult to them. But a few of them help translate what I'm trying to say, and it sort of shows that I care about you guys as well, and it's yeah, that really helps.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Like it's
Mm.
also a like a unique characteristic, because like It's the same if you did it in Japan, because like Valorant in Japan is
Absolutely.
absolutely massive, right?
Yeah.
So you have like this. It makes it more personal for you to engage
Yeah.
with the fans.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think when you have a region that internationally doesn't get the best reputation, if you show that you're willing to put in the work with them, they respect that. Like
Mm.
they really do. And I think when me and Leg Day chose to cast in India, we realized, okay, this is gonna be a fucking gamble. But I am so happy it paid off. I really, really am.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like you can compare it a bit to like if you know StarCraft.
Yeah, I love. I
Yeah.
grew up watching StarCraft.
Okay. Yeah. Well. Yeah. You
Yeah,
know, Artosis and Tasteless. You know, the legendary duo,
yeah,
best casters ever. You know,
absolutely.
they have their own niche in Korea, right? And
Hmm.
then all of
Yeah,
the ESL broadcasts did their talents, but like there were
yeah,
so many following Korea for like
yeah.
how many years they casted it, right? Like they
Hmm.
had this niche and they had that scene on a lockdown, right? And is
Hmm.
that kind of what you're trying to do? Like if you're being a bit
Not
selfish about India?
quite. I think that Artosis and Tasteless did it very well because all the tournaments were there.
Mm,
At the moment, sort of going into franchising, it's all of Asia, and I think that while I would like to be focused on India, I don't want to have hegemony on it. Like I help Indian casters in like sort of in the offline time, helping them improve as well. So my ideal world, like we're talking a couple of
yeah,
years into the future, it would be me Pavlos on a desk, but it would be like 8 other Indian duos who are all fucking incredible, and are
yeah.
all willing to go to the international stage because they've earned it and they're good enough to do it. And I think that would be incredible if I could bring some Indian talent up with me, because they are talented. They really are. And it's just a few nuances that hold them back a lot of the time. But I have to see.
The Indian casters, are they casting in Hindi or in English?
Yeah. So they cast in Hindi and in English.
Ah,
They're,
okay,
like- they're, they're
okay.
fucking talented, man.
Yeah,
So they're
yeah,
they're breaking down strats in Hindi, then doing it again in English, and in I think you must know this from switching from Danish to English.
yeah, yeah.
If you have to switch very quickly from Danish to English, you stumble over everything. You
Yeah.
have these guys, they would cast Hindi in the morning, afternoon they're casting English. Like, it's
That's
fucking
sick.
insane.
That's sick.
So yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing, bearing in mind as well, Valorant still explode. When Valorant Mobile comes out in India, that's
Yeah.
going to be like the biggest explosion of growth, especially just in SEA you'll ever see.
But what is it like? Because League of Legends tried it, right? And it didn't really
With
blow off.
Wild Rift?
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
It took the fuck off. What do you mean?
Oh,
It
then
it, it took off everywhere apart from
Europe.
took off everywhere, provided it was in Asia.
Yeah. Okay.
But that's where the mobile gaming audience is anyway.
Ah, yeah. Okay.
You know,
Okay. Yeah.
it's not in Europe, it's not in America because we'll just get a PC.
Yeah.
But mobile esports is a huge thing in Asia. Especially there's a game called BGMI, which stands for Battlegrounds Mobile India.
Okay.
Um, and so at the major, what was like the peak concurrent viewers
Uh,
on just the English stream?
on just the English, it's like 500, 600,000, I think.
Yeah. So they have normal C-tier tournaments which average 120k viewers
What?
on the Hindi on one channel on the Hindi cast. Like
Oh,
that's how fucking big this game is, and it's only in India. Like it's only in India,
and it's mobile.
and it's mobile.
God,
So the
that's
second Valorant
crazy.
hits mobile, especially because Valorant's timed it quite well actually. So what's happened in India is BGMI's been taken down
Mm.
due to politics essentially, some bollocks like that. But it means that they're currently trying to find attack FPS on mobile. So Valorant can swoop in, take that title. The growth it's going to have is going to be monumental.
That sounds incredible. So
Mm.
yeah, that's okay. That's where I must admit, like my knowledge is really lacking when it comes to mobile esports. Okay,
If you're not in the region, you wouldn't
yeah,
know though. That's the thing.
yeah,
Like,
yeah. There might be it. Yeah. When it comes to like Valorant and then like maybe franchising, let's talk a bit about this because I have
mhm,
some a bit strong opinions on this, and I would like to
mhm,
hear your maybe counter argument or argument. But
mhm,
let's start with League of Legends. So universally, for people that followed League of Legends, they say that Season 2 was the best one ever, and IPL 5 was one of the best events ever held. It's back
mhm,
in 2012. That was before
mhm,
the franchising came. and it was with this open circuit, and it wasn't like super one-sided like Dota 2 was. And now the complaint is because there's been franchising for like 10 years almost now in League of Legends, 8 years. You can have players have professional careers in 5 or 6 years, and they can play like under 10 best of fives in their entire careers because of this kind of format the franchising has done. And this is where the beauty of Counter-Strike comes in, where you play best of threes and best of fives like almost every weekend, where the fear that I have for Valorant and as an esport, and as I've seen with Riot going like traditionally, historically as well, is that they do the best of ones and then get everyone to stream at the same time, where they won't have like multiple streams for multiple matches, but to have like this concurrent viewership being super high at all times. What like that's some of my fears with the franchising of Valorant. Like how do you see it?
So it's up in the air. I think right now all Riot have to do is do better than CS. Like that's their bar, and they've already run a franchise league, as you mentioned, for like 10 years.
Yeah.
So in my opinion, it would be, if you're not learning from the mistakes you've been making after 10 years, then you wouldn't be in a position to launch another franchise league anyway. So the way I would love to see it is that, yes, there's a franchise league, but the teams that own the franchise spot isn't guaranteed. Like after 3 to 5 years, it goes up to review. And you either have one team go down to Ascension, or one team come up from Ascension. And then I think that's something that's already in the workings anyway, I believe. And then from Ascension League downwards, it's open tournaments. You can host whatever you want. I think the limit is, I think it's under 50k prize pool. But if it's a third-party tournament under Ascension League, it's not going to be over 50k anyway.
Yeah.
So you end up with, I think they're trying to get the best of both worlds, if that makes sense. So I, for one, am really looking forward to seeing how it pans out. But in terms of longevity for the franchise teams, it's too soon to say.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, because like you can't see. Like the problem with franchise, that as I see it, is like you cannot see FaZe Clan versus Na'Vi every second week in a best of 3. You can see it twice in a season, and that's might be a best of 1. Where
something which happened in League, which I think is probably going to happen with Valorant, is when you have franchise leagues, when it goes to the international stage, it no longer becomes like, for instance, C9 versus FaZe. It becomes America versus Europe.
Yeah.
And then that's how you draw in more viewers, because you have the American team versus the European team. And I think that's something that Riot are definitely going to lean into.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So do you think it's going to be a good thing? Now you've tried like the Asian part, at least, of the open circuit. You've been to
well, I can't say it's a bad thing while my application waits to see if I'll get the Pacific League.
Okay,
But even if it wasn't, I would say it's a good thing, purely because franchise leagues are very hit and miss. I think Overwatch League is a good example of what you don't want to happen. But Riot have already run one successfully. So if they would be the running authority on hosting franchise leagues. So, and it's also, Riot have enough money to throw at it to make it work. Yeah. So in my opinion, it's I see it working out. Granted, I may have a skewed, I know I have a skewed view. But I would like to see it work out. I think, especially for games like CS as well, it does them well to have a competitor.
Yeah, definitely. And then like there's two like contrasting like tournaments.
Yeah, exactly.
That's going on with different formats and different everything. So if you prefer one thing or the other, you can like choose.
Yeah, exactly.
That's true. Well,
Please use as bland as the background. Fuck right off, Louis. Louis, I can go back there and slap you. I'm back home now. Like.
Oh my god. Yeah. Okay. When it comes to
brothers, man.
Yeah, I know. So when it comes to like Valorant as a game, right? When I saw it, I saw the trailer, I saw everything coming up, and it was super hyped. And then I saw there were small drones with cameras, there was health regain and revival, and there was a rocket launcher, and I tapped out. Was there like any kind of start? Like, did you have any preconditions that might have like been overturned now as you've
I used to fucking hate the game, man, with a burning passion. I used to think it was fucking terrible. so yeah, a little bit of a U-turn. I think there was I can't remember who it came from, but it was someone at Riot said abilities won't kill, and it will just augment gameplay. And I think I clung to that a little bit too hard. I think I wasn't looking for another game; I was looking for another CS.
Yeah.
And I think once I sort of got that idea out my head, I enjoyed Valorant a lot more. And I think that's a problem a lot of people had was because it was advertised as the CS killer, they wanted a CS, which it just isn't.
Yeah, it's more like a competitor to Overwatch, right?
Yeah, it's like Overwatch or like Heroes of the Storm or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, like
Yeah.
because Overwatch is like a bit more ability centric,
Mhm.
where like
Yeah.
they have a lot of inspiration in Valorant from Counter Strike.
Yeah.
But it's almost
Yeah.
like the best mix of both, and then
Yeah, absolutely.
there's been a lot of critique
And I
about
think
the maps. Yeah, but
you're right. Once you stop going, this isn't CS or this isn't Overwatch, and you look at what it is, which is attack shooter with abilities that is, as much as people complain, pretty well balanced. Like it's a good game. It's a really good game in my opinion.
okay. So what about like the like the best teams right now? Like, is North
Oh,
America the greatest region right now? Is it Europe?
oh,
And where
this
does
I
Asia
even
rank on
if
it?
they were Puffin, I would not say it because I'm an English guy who casts in Asia,
Yeah.
which means in ranking Asian teams, European teams, Brazilian teams, Montenegro teams, kind of Serbian teams, and then just any other country on the planet, and then North American teams.
Okay. Okay.
That's but realistically speaking, North America do have some good teams. I would put them in sort of the top 5 in the world at the moment. I think they've probably got 2 of the spots.
Hmm.
They're pretty good, but of course we're going into franchising, so
Yeah.
we have new rosters which we've just not seen yet.
Yeah.
It's
That's why
definitely
it's super awesome that we can do like some kind of conclusion like right now
yeah,
before the things
yeah,
comes. Like until now,
yeah,
for the like 2 years it's been out. Like North America was the first ones to really jump on it. That's true.
mhm,
Um,
yeah.
I know a guy that played in the local Danish league who's playing on G2 right now called Avova. He played in a
Although,
Danish. Yeah,
really,
he
yeah.
played in Counter Strike, semi-professional level, tier 3, tier 4, and then he went
Hmm.
when Valorant came out, went all in on it, and then now he's on G2 and doing super well. That's amazing to see, you know. But
Yeah.
there's like so it's more like North America was like really the
Are you
first
sure
ones.
he's on G2?
Isn't he? Is he still there? I don't know if he
No, he's on
maybe changed.
Heretics. I
Oh,
cast him in India.
oh yeah.
He's on GT. Not on GT. He's on Team Heretics now.
Okay.
Yeah, I cast their grand final against OverX.
Yeah.
I thought I recognised that name and went, wait, G2?
Yeah.
But yeah, he's on Heretics now.
Yeah. Okay. I knew he was in Jisoo. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But it's hard to say sort of ranking at the moment, especially like I mean, let's look at North American teams. I think rank 1 on VLR is NRG, and they haven't played a game since Loud in back in
Oh yeah.
Champions.
Yeah.
Then after that, you've got 100 Thieves, haven't played since Champions when they were against Fnatic. It's so hard to make an assessment off of that. Like
Okay.
European teams as well. You've got Navi, who have only been a team for a couple of months. After that, you've got Fnatic, who we haven't seen for I think they ended one tournament after Champions. That's it. Like we have such a little to go off of right now. I think that a lot of it is all speculation,
Hmm.
which is why I quite like Asia quite a bit because the tier 1 teams will still play in tournaments. So like you've
Yeah.
got Paper Rex who they were against Team Heretics in India. They've got some more tournaments coming up. I don't think I'm allowed to talk about them though. You've got teams like Boom, for instance, who are signing up to anything and everything because Boom haven't got a slot in franchising because they've got nothing to prove. So if there's a franchising team in their tournament, they're going to sign up to snipe them, which is fucking brilliant, by the way. You've got Bleed who are doing the same thing. Coach Legia is a fucking mastermind, so he's probably got some weird spider's web of strategy coming out of that as well. Like,
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
How good are Japan? Because
How good are Japan?
Explosive. I know how gigantic it is over there.
Yeah. So in playstyle or in like just
No,
culture?
just like or it's more like in rankings. Like, are they as like? Because like I know they're passionate. I don't know about like the India and
Yeah,
Japan
so
thing. It's kind of I
so
don't know, but
India has a really good fan base. They have really friendly teams. Their pro players are all sweethearts. The orgs are great. The orgs interact with anyone and everyone. There's a thing in India where if it's someone's birthday, they announce it's their birthday. They at all their favorite pros, and all their favorite pros wish them happy birthday and stuff.
oh
It's
seriously?
cool as fuck. That's all amazing. India internationally, we're not great.
Mm.
um, um, I think since I've been in the scene, in major VCT tournaments, I think I've seen them win about 5 maps. Um,
Oh, yeah. Okay.
but in like international tournaments, like BEC, mean, maybe even some A tournaments, BEC2 tournaments, they've done very well.
Hmm.
But it's in the big tournaments that we've really struggled.
Okay.
But in terms of how Japan do comparatively, I think I would put them. Fucking, it's hard to say because Zeta, I think, is rank 1 in Japan at the moment, and they've been they recently did that tournament against, I think it was the finals against Gen G, if I'm not mistaken, or Northception against a team in the
Yeah.
finals.
Yeah.
And then they did, I think they won it. So Zeta, I would rank them pretty highly. I think they're probably butting heads with Korean teams at the moment.
Okay.
I'm not sure if they're better, if Korean teams are better, but they're fucking fighting for that spot.
Yeah. Have this been like a Korean resurgence? Because Overwatch
Mm,
filled with Koreans. Uh,
yeah.
League of Legends,
So
Koreans, Chinese now as well.
yeah,
Like the
yeah.
best.
I
Counter
think
Strike, there's no one. How is it in Valorant?
yeah, that's because Counter-Strike kind of dropped the ball with supporting the
Yeah.
Asian scene. And they're really feeling the pain of that right now with Valorant taking off so hard in
Yeah.
Asia. Um, I think yeah, it's inevitable. Esports culture in Korea, particularly, like I grew up when I must have been about 10 when I started watching StarCraft 2. And seeing like Flash and Beyond and and MC and all these
Yeah.
Korean pros was fucking mental. And seeing how Korea sort of embraced the culture there. Actually, one of the reasons I was able to go full time in esports is because I showed my parents like what because I'm still quite young.
Yeah.
I showed my parents what esports is like in Korea. They were like, "Holy shit!" And I was like, "Yeah, this is gonna come to the rest of the world. Just watch." And it took him to a couple of events in the UK. Here we are. So I think it was foolish of CS to not capitalize on the Asian presence.
Yeah, but it's more like the players. Like, do you think like there's many teams that's gonna be filled up with
Mm,
Koreans? Like, are the Korean players just
mm.
better? Because historically, it's been like
I think
MOBA
it's
and RTS and like tactical shooter in
mhm,
Overwatch, right?
yeah.
It hasn't really been
It comes
FPS.
down to work ethic, I think.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's the wrong choice of words. Um, I think it comes down to philosophy of the game, and I think that because esports has been around for so long in places like Korea, their philosophy to esports is really strong.
Yeah.
Like, if needs be, they just wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Wake up at 5 a.m. every day. Like, they won't complain. Just fucking take it. And I've spoke to a number of Korean coaches, and they've especially Coach Meow of Boom, South Korean guy coaching a Indonesian team. And the work he's willing to put in for that team is like cannot be understated. And I think he finds a really good way to balance authority over the team with keeping them comfortable. And I think that just comes with experience because in Korea you have this wealth of pro players, coaches, support staff. You can go, what do we do? And they'll know because they've been there.
Yeah.
And esports in Europe and North America compared to Korea is in its infancy.
Yeah.
So
Completely.
we still have the growing pains.
Yeah, it's more like also like skill wise, because in
Mhm,
skill wise,
mhm.
like the Koreans are everywhere. Like it's not
Yeah, absolutely.
and it's because
Yeah,
they
they're
are
fucking
so good.
mental.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. But
yeah,
it's been in genres that's not FPS. They've been really good in.
yeah.
Like, are
Mhm,
they this good as well in FPS?
mhm,
Because that's where Europe, especially Europe, has been super
mhm,
good. Like in all of their time in
mhm,
esports.
No, you're absolutely right. I wonder what it is.
Yeah.
Like, I wish I knew because I'd be doing it if I knew.
Yeah.
um, but I really wish I knew. But I think it's sort of culture to esports
Hmm.
because it's so widely accepted. I think in Europe you have to fight quite hard with family and schooling and friends to pursue something like this. In
Yeah.
Korea, if you want to do it, good luck.
Yeah. Good luck. Have fun.
Yeah,
Just
yeah,
sit
exactly.
in a PC bong for 12 hours every day and
Yeah,
good
yeah.
luck. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, yeah, I would wouldn't mind having an interview with a Korean guy sometime, just sort of
Oh,
see what it's like over there.
yeah, that would be
Oh yeah,
super
there's
cool.
an idea for you, Patton. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good idea actually. What about which okay, so hypothetically the region's gonna come up, well, we know
hmm
the franchising is coming. Which
hmm
league do you think is going to be the strongest one? Because I'm assuming there's gonna be like a World's Finals at the end of the years, right?
Yeah. In terms of strongest, that's hard to say. Strongest and think in growth, I think the Asian one's going to grow the most.
Yeah.
Um, in terms of sort of entertainment, I think North American teams are really good at content, so I think they're going to do quite well at entertainment. In terms of like strategies which work and are fundamentally sound, and like if you were to repeat them, 100 times, they would have the highest success rate. European teams. And then if you want some sort of flary flamboyance where someone runs around and kills everyone, you watch the Brazilian teams. Like Brazilian teams are really entertaining to watch in Valorant. And same for APAC teams. Paper Rex kind of currently rank one in APAC. Their nickname is WK Gaming
Oh,
because they
nice.
just fucking full send. Yeah.
So it's like art in 2018 on
Yeah,
Furia.
that's Paper Rex essentially.
Yeah.
There's a player on Paper Rex called Jing, and I think he's 15 or 16, and because he's so young, his mum comes with him to all these events, and she's like the mum of the Singaporean scene,
Oh,
and so everyone in the scene just calls her auntie, and so she's like the auntie of like hundreds of people. And so even at events, she's there, she's filming stuff. She's awesome. And I think that also shows how especially in Asia, families embrace hey, you're an esports player, all right.
yeah. Amazing. Okay,
Yeah.
so when it comes to which region do you think will win the world championship?
Oh, I was hoping you wouldn't come back to that. I'm gonna say Asia purely because I want to cast there. So we'll go Asia.
Well, historically, Korea are absolutely nuts in
Yeah,
every
they
esport
they are.
they are serious
They
in.
are.
So
I think also to follow it up, like, the Asian scene was really small when Valorant started. We're talking like pitifully small. Um, and the fact that they've gone from what is essentially zero to where they are now in what, 2 years?
yeah,
Like that, that in itself should show you that there's more to come. Um, I really really have high hopes for the region because of that.
yeah, incredible. Like it's just like the entire prospect of Valorant. It's just
Yeah,
I
exactly.
thought it would be good, right? But when you see it from like with the Counter Strike goggles on, and
Hmm.
it's Counter Strike's only in Europe, and then there's like Crossfire
Yeah.
in China, and that's like it.
Hmm.
Then to see it like have this explosive growth, that's like where I thought of more of like the
Hmm.
Overwatch comparison
Hmm.
rather than the Counter Strike
Yeah.
comparison. And
Yeah.
it's
I
actually
no. Okay. Yeah, I agree.
yeah, and maybe like that's only like one of the few things that really can like it's really uncommon. It's not something you think about where like it's like because of the growth that you like change your opinion on the game. But that's
Hmm.
happened for me, and that's why it's a really interesting prospect to see. Well, what is it like? How far can it go? Can it become a
Hmm.
League of Legends World Championship with 20 million viewers, or the
Hmm.
international with 40, or how many they have?
Hmm. You can hope, right?
Yeah,
You can hope. I would love for Valorant to be sort of universal, in and sort of be at the peak that StarCraft was in Korea, but just globally.
yeah.
Like that would be insane. Um, and it's a dream I share, I think, with many many people. But we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
It's too soon to tell.
Do you still follow Counter Strike a bit, or?
Yeah, of course, of course. Yeah, I still follow CS, but nowhere near as avidly as I used to. So like I'll check HLTV, I'll see the tournaments on, see the teams. I couldn't tell you who's rank one in the world at the moment. It's not Navi anymore, is it?
It's
Is it Outsiders? Outsiders won the major, didn't they?
Outsiders, yeah.
No.
But it might
Let's quickly
actually be
check.
heroic after they won
It's
last.
heroic, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow, Outsiders won the major, didn't even get rank one. That's gotta hurt.
they had it for like a week until the next.
All right, okay. Yeah, new blue players are Outsiders now.
uh,
Ah, it's Jame time. Oh
yeah,
yeah, that makes sense.
of course, of course.
Yep.
When it comes to like Counter Strike, it's it's
Mhm.
it's like so in like the prospect of Counter Strike and like the potential of it, and now you see like Valorant coming in. Like,
Mhm.
did you imagine when you went to Valorant? Did you believe that it would become this big, or maybe when you saw it
Yes.
released?
No, I believe it'll be this big. I think CS has a glass ceiling. It's a game with real guns called terrorists and counter-terrorists. It's never going to break out of those who are already there. And getting new players for CS is going to be very hard. For Valorant, it's the same thing for League of Legends. Pretty colorful game, very easy to get into, very hard to master,
Yeah,
and I think and also very easy to run. So I think for Valorant, that's one of the things going in their favor. And once again, Riot, they've looked at what CS have done and have used that to make their game better. I think CS are going to be CS already is, but it really shows that CS:GO and CS 1.6, CS Source were the foundations of all FPS, TAC FPSs.
Yeah.
Like they made that genre, and fucking brilliant that they did. But I'm now interested to see how far someone like Riot can take it.
How like difficult is it for a new person to get into Valorant and to understand a good play? Because
Oh, piece of
that's
piss. Piece of piss. Literally, you install, you pick the agent that looks pretty to you, and then like that looks fun to you, and then there you have it. You just shoot the other guys. The other guys can be highlighted in red for you as well if you really want it. So it's pretty easy to learn.
what about as a viewer?
As a viewer,
Yeah,
that's
watching.
where I think things get. So as a viewer, it depends on the observers and casters. If and it also depends on the teams. So teams like Paper Rex can be quite hard to they're fun to watch because you're watching these guys kind of blast around as fast-paced action packs, explosions stuff. If you're trying to understand strategies, there's so much to break down in only a couple of seconds or minutes. It can be quite hard to watch teams like Paper Rex. Whereas in Europe, especially in Europe, you have these thought-out, methodical executions, which, as a viewer, maybe not as entertaining. Still good to watch, but maybe not as much as WK Gaming.
Yeah.
But it teaches you strategy and it gives you something that you can break down, which really helps.
Yeah, that's like something where the extreme angle is like the knowledge of understanding like the game, right? You don't like in Counter-Strike, in Rocket League, it's super easy to see when a play is good, right?
Yeah,
In League of Legends,
yeah,
you need to have so much knowledge. In Dota 2, you need to have so
yeah,
much knowledge before you know
yeah,
a play is good, right? Like
yeah.
where would you compare Valorant to the
Okay.
other titles?
I would put Rocket League as easiest to understand. Under it, I would put Valorant, then League, then CS, then League, then Dota.
So you think like it's easy to see a good play in Valorant, easier than in Counter-Strike?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
what would the argument be there?
The argument would be your enemies are highlighted in red. It's very clear that when they fall down, you've done well. And the way aiming works in Valorant is it complements what first bullet accuracy,
Hmm.
much rather than CS where it's spray control. So if you knew nothing about recoil, you wouldn't know if a good spray transfer is good. But if someone's just shot one bullet and it's fucking domed two guys at once, you know that's good. Like even if you have no clue what the game is. Um, and I think that also Valorant does quite well as well. It does a very good job at separating teams, if that makes sense. So in the topography of the maps, it's actually
Yeah.
quite hard to flank and stuff. And of course, teammates highlighted in yellow. Well, actually no, enemies highlighted in red. It becomes very easy to show who are the goodies. Well, goodies, who are the baddies.
The baddies.
And yeah, exactly. And so I think the sort of colorful color palette definitely helps with that as well.
Yeah, that's at least that's again something that's super iconic, and like I understand why Valorant is good, like so big because of that, because like it's so vibrant and it's so like
Mhm.
like even like the cartoonish elements and like
Yeah,
Riot's like graphics team and art team is like some of the best I've ever seen. It's
yeah.
absolutely
That's
unreal
their
what they've
sounds
done.
team as well is insane.
Yeah.
Actually, at the event in India, we had a song made just for the event.
Okay.
And so at the start of the event, it would play this. It was like a Sabaton song. It was really cool.
Okay.
They had this really good rock song at the start, and I was asking the producers, "Who sang this?" They went, "We did. This is us. This is a Galaxy Racer band. Like this was our song made for this tournament." It's fucking cool. Like how heavy they go in production.
Yeah, that's yeah, like that they
Mm.
are unrivaled uh
Yeah,
in that
I agree.
aspect in
Yeah,
esports.
I mean, even in League of Legends as well, like
Yeah.
all like warriors, they get fucking Imagine Dragons to do stuff.
In
Like, it's
2014,
incredible.
like that's around their peak as well, you know.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
18, they had like the augmented reality dragon flying in over the
Oh
stage,
yeah, as
you know.
well.
S-
Oh fuck, I thought that was a real dragon. Shit, maybe right. I was as much money as I thought they did.
but it's actually unbelievably unreal, like
Mhm.
how much talent there is behind, like in that company when it comes to production value.
Yeah,
What
absolutely.
how about like the banter stuff? Like, is it like is it a bit censored in that sense when you're casting or maybe when you're on a desk? Because now you tried the VCT. So I know you don't say
Yeah.
like the curse words, right? But you know how
So
if you compare like Valorant to Counter Strike desks, if you like,
I would say there's no difference.
there's no
No
difference.
difference.
Okay.
What Riot do really well, and I prefer Valorant over CS to this. In CS, if you say something really bad without realizing it, or like something accidentally catches you out, um, Valve won't tell you. They'll just blacklist you.
Mm.
Whereas Riot, they'll say, "Hey, maybe not next time." I think a good example was Onyx versus Boom, and you may have to Google the Onyx and Boom logos. But I said, so the Boom logo is a hound, the Onyx logo is a hedgehog. And I said, our happy hedgehogs are hunting hounds. We're eating dog tonight, boys. And I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, because we're casting in Asia, you can't reference eating dog because it's
Yeah.
of course, I didn't mean it that way. And the guy, so at the end, one of the fellas at Riot sort of went, maybe next time, not that. And they were pretty clear. They went, yeah, we know you didn't mean it that way, which is why we're telling you, just like, maybe just avoid it next time. And I was quite appreciative that I would get told rather than just sort of fucked over without knowing it.
Yeah, exactly, and also because like the fierceness of the competition in Counter Strike, you wouldn't.
Absolutely, yeah.
You wouldn't
If you're gone, you're
necessarily-
fucking gone.
Yeah,
Like,
and you wouldn't necessarily get told that that wasn't maybe okay to do in this scenario. You know,
exactly.
that's like only
Yeah.
a duo. You like in an ideal world or not? No, in like maybe in the landscape we're in right now, it might only be like the duo you can get this kind of information from, right?
Yeah, exactly. Which is also why having a good duo is so important. Like Pavlos will keep me in check, no problem,
Yeah.
which is quite nice, and of course vice versa.
Yeah, of course. I mean, now Pavlos have tried a lot of stuff, a lot of like events and stuff. Like, how was it for you to? You were shortly in about it sorry, you were shortly. So you talked shortly about it, like in India, how it was with the crowd. How was it like? Did you sign autographs? Was it like how much of a crazy new experience was this casting in front of an audience for you?
Completely new. Foreign experience to me. I'd be more comfortable in a war zone, I think. But but no. We finished our final cast of the day. Heretics just beat Paper Rex, and everyone was celebrating. Paper Rex sort of went over to the crowd area so they can take pictures. So me and Pavlos thought, okay, right, we'll go out and we'll make our way back to the hotel, drop everything off, come back, for the after party or something like that. We couldn't leave because even though Paper Rex were like right there,
Yeah.
we had people coming over to us asking for pictures and stuff, which was fucking awesome. We got so many pictures of people. I loved every second of that. But we sort of came back the other way, and then when we tried to go back the other way, there was other people who wanted pictures with us. It was fucking weird. It was so weird, but it wasn't bad weird, but it was just weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like almost inexplainable or what? Because like you haven't like how is it to have a first time experience of people just
It's
coming up
really
and-
hard to put into words because, I mean, bear in mind I've only been casting like 2 years,
Yeah.
so my growth has gone like that. So I still struggle to be on the camera, man. Like to go from that to, but yeah, the way the arena was laid out is we sort of had the stage up here, and sort of facing it towards the side was the casting desk, so we could see the players, we could see the big screen, we could see the audience as well. And then when we finished, we could just walk out into the audience. And so every time we got into the audience, we had people coming up to us, people being friendly. It was absolutely incredible to meet so many people. And I think something something sort of weird. Again, I keep saying the word weird because it fucking was. But it's just weird to have these guys want pictures with you. And of course we were happy to oblige and stuff. And we even had we had like pro players we were having pictures with as well. Which was fucking awesome. So yeah, it's a mind-boggling experience, and I'm also quite thankful. I'm quite that only happens in Asia. That will never happen in Europe for me. Because it means when I come back to Europe, I come back home. I've got my brothers, my sisters, my friends are all going to bully my ego back down to back down to normal at the end of that.
You're not some celebrity hotshot here in England, no.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shut the fuck up, Kremer. Get back to doing whatever it is. Yeah.
Okay, one thing. Let's take it back to Counter Strike just for a brief
Mhm.
second. Tell me if you want to
Yeah,
talk
no
about
worries.
it or not. But if I remember correctly, you casted the famous Akuma versus NIP game.
I did cast the famous thing with this NIV game.
Now it's been
Um,
almost a year, so it's up to you if you
let
wanna
let me let me
talk
think
about
about
it.
what I can say.
Yeah, if you
It
wanna.
was so I will explain it to you in the hand gestures and the facial expression I did when I turned to M&J, who was next to me during that game. So M&J was this side. Halfway through this game, we looked at each other and went, "There you go. That was
Yeah.
that was not just that game, that whole tournament, but
Oh damn.
we'll
Yeah.
leave it at that.
Let's. Yeah.
Ask me again in a year's time.
Okay. So yeah.
Um, I think I probably can talk about it, but you know how it is. You don't want to risk it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah. So
Let's
we'll
just wait
talk
it.
about it in like a year's time.
Yeah. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. No worries. No worries.
But,
It's just
yeah.
I remembered it suddenly, and it was
It
like.
was it. I will admit that is one of the that is some of the most fun I've had on a cast in a very long time, because realizing that this game's gonna get voided, like, so you just have fun with it.
Yeah.
But, oh man, that was I'm glad it happened, because now I can say, I was there.
Yeah. In a literal
Oh man.
sense.
Yeah, exactly.
What up? Okay, you're going to Brazil on Sunday, right?
On the 11th, yeah,
On the
for
11th.
the Red Bull Campus Clutch.
Yeah, and can you maybe talk a bit about what you're looking
Yeah, I can
forward
talk about
to?
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so essentially, it's universities around the world would have an internal Red Bull Campus Clutch competition in their universities. The winner of that will then represent their country at the World Finals, which will be in Brazil. So you've got like Team UK, Team France, Team America, Team Canada. Yeah, I think there's about 40 different countries in this.
Okay.
And so it's this big clash on World Finals. And what's quite nice about it is we're not treating this like this big tournament per se. Instead, what we're doing is how do I explain it? There's no there's no toxicity to it, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
It's very much they're here to represent their country. They're happy to be there. We're happy to be casting it. It's quite a relaxed competition. I think some of the guidelines we actually had was don't be don't use terms like annihilate and destroy, and this team's absolutely destroying this team.
Hmm.
It's just happy to be here. It's very relaxed, and of course, Red Bull have been incredible to work with. Like the I can't show pictures yet, but the place we're staying in, the arena we're in, it's fucking insane. um, so I'm with so many talented people. So, hey, you ever want to know what imposter syndrome feels like? I'm casting with Upmind Sully, Jess, and fucking Ian Chambers, man. Like, what the fuck? and then my co-cast is John Allen for this. Like,
Holy moly.
it's like imposter syndrome 101.
What am I doing
But
here? Like,
yeah, man, it's I received the email and just assumed it went to the wrong person.
God damn, that's
So
actually crazy.
so yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be my final event of the year as well, so I'm hoping to end it on quite a nice note. Practice with John is going to get a little bit intensive over the next couple of days as well, hopefully, so we can really try and give you guys a good show.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So, like, does the vibe, does it feel like a bit like a All Stars vibe from League of Legends? If you saw that.
Kind of, yeah, kind of. It's Actually, yeah, I'll just say yeah, pretty much is.
Yeah.
It's Yes, it's a tournament. Yes, you're playing for I think it's like 20,000 euros. But it's you're not you're not breaking your balls for a tournament like this.
Yeah, and you're.
And you know
Yeah.
the teams there, I've cast them before. Northwood Esports, I cast in the NECC, which is the only American tournament I've done. Northwood won that, so they're now going there to Brazil, which is going to be interesting to watch. The English team is called Caçadortura, not Fucking, it's got Bensky on it. And I know Bensky from CS, so I'm I'm really looking forward to seeing how he's gonna do. But they've also got Smile from Jinkei, who's also a very good team. So it's going to be very, very cool to see how these guys do. I think there's who else is here? Let's just take a look at it now. From Team India, you've got Deadly, you've got Bullet, you've got Paradox. So you're just gonna see the boys essentially.
Yeah.
You're just gonna see the boys.
Amazing. And is it the first time you're going to Brazil?
It'll be my first time in Brazil, yeah. So, the event I did in India 2 weeks ago was my first time out of Europe. So,
dang.
so yeah, it was my first time in Brazil. I'm not looking forward to how hot and humid it's going to be. I won't lie to you, Puffin. I'm not looking forward to that at all.
No,
Why can't we have events in Alaska? Like, I would love an event in Alaska, but no. Instead, Kremer, you have to deal with 25 fucking degrees and 60% humidity. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not going to be fun.
No.
That's not going to be fun at all.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's gonna be quite the event, you know? Like.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Not looking forward to the 10.5 hour flight though. That's gonna suck.
Yeah. That sounds like
That's
a
gonna really
rough
suck.
one. Yeah. God
Yeah.
damn.
Yeah. It's okay. I'll be sure to bitch long and hard to you, like throughout the duration of this flight. Like, you look forward to that.
Have you thought about like recording your event, like from your perspective, do some vlogs and stuff, and then have like a video for the tube?
I was thinking about that. I'm still so new to traveling and doing bigger events like these. I think when I get a bit more comfortable sort of doing that, yes. But for now, I'm still sort of getting used to it. So there's still a bit of an adjustment period. I think if I get a franchising offer, which your guess is as good as mine. If I do get one, I'll probably record something pretty cool. If it's a franchising offer, I'll probably be in tears when I do it. But hey, we'll record something. We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's just with all the new Indian fans you have, they might want to see how you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's actually a really good point of shit. I should record some content. Fucking thank you for the idea, by the way.
Well,
So,
you're welcome. You're welcome.
Yeah, we'll record a bit.
I have another fun little question for you. When it
Go on.
comes to India, how was the food? Was it's not being racist?
So
was the curry good?
so it's sort of like common knowledge. If you go to India and your stomach's not used to spices, you're gonna have a pretty rough time. I sort of went, fuck that, I'm built different. Day one, I was like, I'm gonna try every bit of food I can get my hands on. So I was trying these. I tried about 5 or 6 different curries in the first day.
Yeah.
I had this like weird fruit shoot like shot thing. That was fucking incredible, by the way. I wish I knew what it was called, but it was in Hindi and I can't speak Hindi. But it was like a fruit shoot shot thing. That was incredible. The orange juice in India will knock your socks off. Like, if I could bring back one thing from India, it's the orange juice. But I may have overindulged myself on curries, and for day 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, I couldn't eat anything.
Holy.
But like, day 1 was so good, it made up for it.
That's incredible. That's one of the few places in the world where like the culinary experience is almost enough to go and visit the country itself. You know?
Yeah. The food there was absolutely incredible. I sort of wish I like better prepared myself for spicy food before I went, so I could enjoy it more. But I didn't. And fucking Boom Esports and Paper Rex, they are from Malaysia and they are from Indonesia. And so when they went, oh, Kremer, it's okay, it's not spicy. By the way, my spice tolerance is like just above salt. So they went, they went, oh, Kremer, don't worry, it's not spicy. I went, oh, I trust you. Took a huge mouthful, forgetting that not spicy to an Indonesian actually is quite spicy. And so we learned that the hard way, and with like tears seeping from our eyes. It's so good, but it hurts so bad. that was it. But the food was really, really good.
Yeah. When it comes to franchising, do you know if it's gonna be in a central location and it's being being licensed?
Yeah, it will be. Yeah, it will be.
Okay, so the APAC region, where would that be?
South Korea and Seoul.
Okay. And
the European one will be in Berlin, and the Americas one, I believe, is in Seattle.
Seattle, okay. Because historically it's been in Los Angeles.
It's the American one I don't know too much about. I just know Riot are building another broadcast studio in Seattle. So I'm unsure about it for now. Fairly certain it's actually no, I'm not fairly certain at all. The fuck am I on about? I think it's Seattle. It may
Yeah.
be LA. The Americas I don't do. Yeah,
No, no.
that's someone else. But the European one's Berlin, and the Pacific one's South Korea.
Okay. Amazing. So it's gonna be quite interesting. Like, where are all the teams announced? Because I.
Yeah. So the teams of franchising have been out. So I'll get a list up for you now. So the ones in the Americas, you've got C9 Sentinels, NRG, Crew, Leviathan, Loud, Furia, MIBR, 100 Thieves, and EG. In Europe, you've got Koi, Carmine Core, Fnatic, Na'Vi, Vitality, Liquid, Heretics, BBL, Giants, and FUT.
Okay.
Then in the Pacific League, you've got Gen.G, Zeta Division, DNG, T1, Talon, DRX, Global Esports, the Indian boys got to represent, Paper Rex, Team Secret, and RRQ.
Okay. So it's good to hear like there's so many different like countries without like
Mhm.
because like what could be a bit sad if it was the Korean one or the
Mhm.
Asian one is like if it was only like Korean and Chinese teams because they
Yeah,
historically are better
exactly.
in
Mhm.
in the other titles,
Yeah,
right?
so I think Riot have done it quite nicely. It's like in Europe, for instance, you've got Koi, Spanish team, like huge Spanish presence.
Yeah.
Carmine Core, huge French presence. Then you've got Giants, huge Spanish presence again. In the Americas, you've got I think four, five. You've got five huge South American teams.
Yeah.
Leviathan, huge Latin American presence. You've got MIBR, Fury, huge Brazilian presence. Then of course you've got C9, 100 Thieves, EG. The big guys from CS.
Yeah.
In Pacific, you got Zeta Japanese, DNG Korean, Talon who I think are going for the Philippines at the moment, Paper Rex Singapore, Global India. Like they've spread it really really well.
Yeah, so it's a truly like global thing
Yeah,
when it comes
absolutely,
to the World
absolutely.
Championship.
Yeah, and so I hope is the way the way they planned it was they looked at each region. So for instance, they went, we need a Indian team because there's such an Indian presence in APAC, right?
Yeah.
Global esports. So they end up picking up them. What I hope the thought process was.
Yeah, yeah, at least, of course. So in the League of Legends World Championship, there's like wildcard regions, and then there's like this
Hmm.
wildcard tournament where you qualify for the main
I
tournament.
That's not been decided yet, so
That's
I've got
not
no
been
clue yet.
decided. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Because
but I think they're gonna trial the franchise league first, make sure it works before they start introducing wildcards.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because like if because that's like another thing with franchising is
Mhm.
like
Yeah, absolutely.
if you're not on a franchise team, you basically cannot become a professional player. Um,
Luckily, that's not the case. And in Ascension League, you've got a huge amount of pro teams in Ascension League as well.
okay, so it's not like
So.
you don't think like the Ascension League is gonna like
Oh fuck no! The Ascension League's gonna be really good. We're already seeing Ascension League teams beat franchise teams.
okay, okay,
So
damn.
yeah, at least in Asia that is. So it's really gonna be entertaining. Like,
Okay, so it's more like an open circuit then. The
yeah,
Ascension. Yeah.
exactly. Anything under franchising is open circuit, which is why I think the system's gonna work.
Okay. Okay. Can franchise teams join open circuit tournaments?
No clue.
No.
I may probably not decided.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Because
mm,
my reference here is League of Legends. That's where my knowledge is. Because I know
yep.
with like the only really non-Riot events that League of Legends teams goes to is like the IM Katowice
Hmm.
and maybe some
Hmm.
other like where the tournament organizer has like made a deal with Riot to say, okay,
Mm,
the franchise teams can come and play in your open
yeah.
tournament as
Yeah.
for
So
international play, right?
I would like to. I would hope to see that. I hope to see franchise teams go into Ascendant League tournaments and yeah, really really mix the pot. But yeah,
Yeah.
don't know at
So
the
yeah,
moment.
okay, it's just speculation. That's
Yeah, exactly. It's speculation.
yeah. Let's wait and see. It's gonna be like again,
Hmm.
it's gonna be super interesting. When it comes to like, it's been so much Valorant. It's
Hmm.
absolutely incredible. Like
Yeah.
I've been so like it's so new and still I'm so surprised that we can like that it can become not even become this big but that it can be this successful in this
Hmm.
amount of time
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Record breaking.
yeah
Yeah.
some of the critiques that's come from the Counter-Strike scene and it's not only like the fact like they accepted the fact that it's like different play wise right but it's more like the maps are like with three bomb sites and
Hmm.
how
I
how
think
they are set up and
the
stuff. Like,
maps
how do you
the,
feel about them?
the maps are the maps are played with the sort of assumption that the utility is going to be used well, which is what balances it out. The issue CS players have, particularly CS players, is they go onto the maps and treat it like CS. So they try and aim everything, they try and shoulder peek, then just wide swing and stuff, and it doesn't work. And the map doesn't favor you wide swinging like that. You need your utility to help. You need your teammates to help, because that's what the maps are designed for.
Hmm. Okay. So in that sense, it's way more like
Mm.
is it harder than for one person to completely take over a game?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Which is why it's even more impressive when someone does,
Mm.
because you need your teammates so badly in Valorant.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah. So it's in that sense, it's a bit more like Overwatch, where you make the great
Yeah,
plays as a team,
absolutely, absolutely.
but there's also room for the individual like
Yes,
astonishing moments
yeah,
where you can,
yeah,
if you're good enough, take over the game.
absolutely, absolutely.
Then is it also easier for players who has a bad game to have impact in the game, whereas in Counter Strike
Mm.
it's really hard for a person who has a
Um,
bad game to have a
yeah,
great impact?
it's hard to say. How bad is bad?
Okay,
Like,
oh, well,
we
if you are a person who shoots like 20 average, and then you have like a best of 3 where you shoot like 10 per map, for example.
You can
Uh,
still have impact. Yeah, you can absolutely still have impact. And you've seen. I think I'm gonna keep using Paper X as an example because I
yeah,
keep casting them all the time. On Paper X, you've got Forsaken and Jing, who are these heavy hitters. And what you find is if Jing has a quiet game, then you have players like Devi who step up, and it sort of they mitigate each other to find like an equilibrium, which is really effective. So you can have quiet games and still win. But we see, even in like champions, there were teams where players had rough games and they still
yeah.
won at the highest of levels. So yeah, you absolutely can,
Yeah,
for
okay,
sure.
but it's also more like the supporting aspect. Like, so,
Yeah,
like it's more like if the question is more like, well, if you compare it to Counter Strike, because if you have a bad game in Counter Strike, it can be quite hard to get impact because you can only like flash
yeah,
and smoke, right?
yeah.
But you need to
So
kill them
it
if they get
depends on
into
your
your
agent.
side, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
entirely depends on your agent. So if you're on an agent with like a duelist whose abilities are enabling them to kill,
Yeah.
if you're having a quiet game, it's really felt. But if you're playing like a breach, for instance, you can set up your duelists without even peeking.
Hmm.
Like, and this is with all of your abilities. Your flash, your disposition, your flash, your aftershocks, your fault lines, your rolling thunder. Like all of them can be used. In you actually have a lot of players who they get to really high ranks just because they can play afterplants really well.
Hmm.
Because they just back off and then just use their utility. And it's something which can really be emphasized. Like, yeah, you can have a shit game and still have serious impact.
Yeah. Now you're a Counter Strike guy, so something that or former Counter Strike guy. Are you
Mhm.
surprised that FNS became this successful in Optic and Shazam? Because if you
Um,
looked at their Counter Strike careers, it wasn't like they
I
were like
think it
mid tier.
wasn't their skill from CS they brought over, it was their mentality,
Mm.
which was they know how to play in a pro team. They know how to function in a pro team. They know how to practice, not burn out, keep fit, keep healthy, and practice for championships. Which I think once they got three nutty players to play alongside them, the nutty players helped elevate both FNS and Shazam. Shazam helped bring those three players up in discipline, and they sort of complement each other.
So you're not surprised.
Definitely surprised, but but I understand why I understand why it's happened.
Yeah.
I'm still surprised though.
Yeah, and why it works, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because that's something like. Wait, you said Optic wasn't on the franchise in North America, right? Because
I'm fairly certain they are. Let me quickly confirm that. Um, yeah, Optic aren't on there. Optic didn't make it.
yeah, okay, because that's the FNS team, and I saw them like playing well. They won the last
Mhm.
VCT, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly, as well,
yeah. So
against Loud in the
Yay is
final,
going to
right?
be sniped
Yeah,
by someone.
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly, and that's
yeah,
also something that's funny because Ye is also a former Counter Strike player, and
yeah.
he wasn't,
I
crazy
whatever it
successful.
was in Valorant just clicked with Yay. Like Yay played out as just out of his mind at the moment.
Yeah, and also with Tens, for example, he had like 2 lands in CS:GO, and then like what is
Mm.
it you think in Valorant that
First ball accuracy.
that helps him so much? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. So in Valorant, you rarely spray. It's all first bullet accuracy. That's why players like Scream are doing so well, or
Yeah.
did so well, because first bullet accuracy is there. And so I want to see. I think it's just different how the game works. It's just first bullet accuracy in Valorant. It's spray control in CS. And so players who struggled with spray control in CS, like tens, was able to go to Valorant. Hey, you don't need spray control. Fucking awesome! So he just runs around tapping on heads.
But wouldn't that make the operator almost redundant then?
Not really, because you still have to fight at range. You still have that ability to get a kill, back off, get a kill, back off, and you're not gonna one tap everyone every time. You know.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's just like more in theory because like in Valorant, you run slower than in Counter Strike, so
Yeah.
it's easier for you to get kills like when they run
Yeah.
around a corner, right? That
hmm
means like the entry fragger for the attacking side is almost certainly gonna die every single time.
That's why duelists have abilities which either obscure vision, heal them, or displace them. So Jet has a dash, Reyna has a dismiss. You've got all of these abilities which allow you to get into a position, whether that be flashes, whether that be smokes, and it all comes with the kit. So once again, you're thinking of it like it's CS,
Yeah,
where
exactly.
it's like you're just swinging. No. It's the abilities that makes the game.
Yeah. Okay. What about like the have you followed like the female scene and how like it's been doing?
Yeah. So the
The game
sort of
changers.
the game changer
Yeah.
scene in Valorant is huge compared to any other esport.
Yeah, that's what I
And
noticed.
yeah, Riot embraced it, and they've done an absolute great job. I think it was G2 Guzzin who won the Game Changers Championship,
Yeah.
with players like Mimi, who always struggled in CS to get the recognition. Goes to Valorant. Who'd have known she was nuts the whole time? Fucking hell! And so I was able to win it there in quite a convincing manner, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something like do you think the art style is more like appealing for like not even just women but just like for like more it's
I
if
think
it,
it's
it feels
appealing for
like
newer
yeah, it
players.
feels like it's more
I
like
think I
welcoming,
think
right?
esports has become a little. Don't get me wrong, we have fucking leaps and bounds to go, but esports has become a little bit more accepting of game changers teams. And so I think that's that alongside Riot as well, Valorant taking off and having quite an easy get in, you could say. I think that's really sort of helped Riot very nicely. I see the game changer scene getting bigger though. I think all things considered, it was a relatively small event. I think it was only 200 people in the crowd.
Yeah.
I still see it taking off.
Do you think the like do you think the women could compete in with the men in a franchise league?
That they're open to. They're open to.
Yeah.
It's
Oh
yeah.
yeah, so
So the
it's
VCT circuit's open. So and you have seen, I think it was G2 Guzzin. They played in the last VCT Open Quals. They got to the round of 16. They knocked out professional teams. So yeah, they can.
yeah.
In short, they can. I think there's still a bit of a way to go before the gap's completely closed. But with a support system like this, it's only a matter of time.
Yeah. Okay. That's good to know because like I don't know what it was about Counter Strike, but like they didn't really stand a chance.
Well, the toxicity didn't help,
Yeah,
did
yeah,
it?
that's true. Yeah, that's true. But
We're,
yeah.
we're being honest.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. Yeah. Point taken.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
It's
it feels like just because there's so much on my timeline with just like Valorant game changers and how like they are so good, and then you go and see a game, and now I don't really understand. Like I saw the Loud versus Optic final, in the VCT,
mhm,
and then I saw the G2 Gosen win as well, and I couldn't
mhm,
see like the skill difference between like I
mhm.
couldn't see the parity being that big,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
why I thought, well, is there something about Valorant that maybe I don't know if it like is not to sound toxic, but it what I mean is like it doesn't like lower the skill gap, right? But like is the gap maybe just closer in the game? If you understand what I mean.
Not really.
Okay.
No. I understand what you mean, but
Yeah.
not really in the sense that the
Okay.
gap isn't there. In the sense that
Oh, but it might be a
if
bit
if it
short.
was if it was so small, it was so easy to do. How come we've had a different Masters winner and a different Champions winner every single time? Uh, and then I would also argue that it it feels like a Dunning-Kruger, where
Mm.
because because you're still quite new to Valorant, aren't you? So
Yeah, I
you
am.
don't so you haven't seen the intricacies which go between each one,
Yeah, no,
each
not
team.
yet, not yet. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think once you do, you'll probably have a pretty good idea as to what separates them. But I would also argue it's not like they're bad. Like yeah, they're all pro teams. So
Oh
of
yeah,
course
no, it's
the
not
the gap's
lower.
not going to be there.
Yeah.
Um, I think it has, of course, got smaller. And I would like to see it get. I would like to see a world where we don't even need game changers and we just have the VCT and everyone plays in it, and regardless of gender. But that's sort of wishful thinking. We're not going to see that for a good couple of years now.
Nah.
But I think Riot are doing the right thing with it. So no point no point trying to fix what isn't broken.
No, no, exactly. And like my point with the entire like this part of it was just like how, like just to emphasize how successful like the game chasers was in
Hmm.
Valorant, and what my perspective was it as an guy coming from outside the thing and then having your
Hmm.
response to it, because
Hmm.
like I'm still like I've barely watched Valorant because I have a hard
Hmm.
time understanding it, and I still have this stigmatization of it being like a
Hmm.
children's game or a children's version of Counter
Hmm.
Strike, even though I know it isn't. So there's
As
some.
a Dota player, that's how I see League of Legends.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. Like, okay,
Mm.
so what about like next year and franchising? Like, what is it you look forward to the most? Let's see. Okay,
Um,
let's say you get a spot in the Asia uh, franchise and you move to
yeah.
Korea to cast.
Hmm.
What's gonna be the life of Kremer in
The life of
2023?
Kremer. The three things I really want to focus on if I do go to Korea would be health. I want to stay fit when I'm there. I want to sort of lose weight and keep doing that. I want to once we get a franchise spot in Korea, assuming we do. I don't want it to end there. I want to see if I can get masters. I want to see if I can get champions, even if it's in an analyst role. I want to give that push. Um, And then the third one would be I want to continue growing as a duo with Pavlos. If not Pavlos, then leg day. If not leg day, then someone else. But I still think I have a long way to go before I'm at the level I'm happy with. So I think work on those three things, sort of see how it grows over the year. Of course, being in a franchise slot would be fucking incredible. Um, we don't know anything yet. No one knows anything yet. So hopefully we find out soon. And once we do find out, hopefully we get wanked enough to not remember we even got the slots. So we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely incredible. Okay, if you should, let's do a fun one. If you should try and compare Counter Strike and Valorant with two historical battles, how would you try and describe them and compare them?
Okay, okay. Let me think about this. As in the sort of duel between CS and Valorant.
Yeah,
Ooh, the War of the Roses.
the War of the Roses.
So,
Okay.
yeah, so the War of the Roses was the English Civil War between Lancaster and York. So you had the Red Rose of Lancaster and the White Rose of York, both of which were sort of fighting for succession of the English throne after Charles the Second, I want to say, or Charles the First, ended up dying. So sort of the medieval times, knights and stuff. And I think it resembles Valorant and CS purely because they're both fighting over the same thing, to be the attack FPS, and they've sort of lost vision. At the end of the day, both Lancaster and York, you're still English. There's still France across the ocean. You might as well twat them again because that's all we did back in the day.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that for CS and Valorant, I quite like how it's become a healthy rivalry rather than a bitter rivalry, as it's allowed both of them to grow. So because of course of the War of the Roses, the UK became what it is today, and so attack FPSs are going to become what they are today off of the back of CS and Valorant.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think?
If that isn't the most nerdy answer I've ever given to an interview question in my life, I don't know what is.
Maybe that was what I was going for. Because I
Oh
know you
man,
have the
this is
historical
gonna this is
knowledge
gonna
to it.
resurface in a couple of years, and I'm just gonna have my head in my hands. Maybe I'll
Incredible.
have a better answer by then as well. War of the Roses.
Yeah,
I think
maybe.
that's pretty good.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
we'll stick to
it's
that for the time being.
yeah, exactly. So you can take it like, well, in the beginning, you like Valorant was like the Danish Vikings coming to plunder England, and then
Yeah,
suddenly England became independent and they lost Charles I. So there's even some prehistory in the
yeah,
analogy
exactly,
if you put in the
exactly.
Vikings.
Yeah, I mean the Vikings came and you could say ruined everything, but well, made it a bit more interesting. We'll have to see. I have to see. I have to see.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So for now you've tried it in two different games coming up and getting paid positions to cast the video game that you want to cast. Which means that you have a wealth of experience and a wealth of knowledge of how to progress in an industry where money is not easy to get to. So,
Hmm.
I was thinking, what have you learned on that journey in Counter Strike and in Valorant? How are they
Sure.
separate? How are they different?
Um, so it would be treat it like a job before it's your job. So professional at all times, courteous at all times. Um, and I would also say remember people. There's nothing nicer than being able to go like, oh, Puffin, we met 3 years ago when we did that Dinks podcast, yeah. Or like, oh hey, ExWarrior, we back in the day we were in the Vortex together, yeah. Remembering people really helps with that. So if you struggle to do that, make like a big fuck off document saying like X name met doing this, and I think the third one would be it's gonna be shit. Like you're gonna have really shit days and shit weeks and shit months, and there are gonna be so many days where you want to go fuck this and go, take a mainstream job or pursue something else. The reality is. Those days are to weed out the weak ones, and because if it was easy, everyone would do it. Um, but yeah, if you can get through those shit days, the joys of being freelance is while the lows are the bottom rungs of hell, the highs are the highest highs you're gonna ever have. And so you're gonna have to, the longer you stay in the industry, and the sort of the best case scenario for you is when you start out, shit is down here. Like shit is down here. Terrible is down here. You're usually about here. And then the longer you go on for, it slowly goes up, and your average goes up. And now there's a shit month. Oh, there's a good month. And you bounce about, and your average slowly gets higher and higher and higher. And then after many years of work, I'm not fucking there. That's what I'm talking about when it gets to this. But the dream would be to have your average at the peak, and to have your average being something you would have dreamed of just a couple of years ago.
Yeah, and then when you the peak is your average, you have like a new
Yeah.
peak to go for, right?
Or better still, when your peak is your average, you do something really stupid, and the whole thing goes like that. But
Do you still
but
have do you still have those shit months?
I still have those really shit. Right now, I think January is going to be a really shit month because no tournaments in January, and it's just waiting to see if I've got the Pacific League. And I don't like waiting, Puffin. I don't like doing it. So I'm
Uh
really gonna hate that. I'm
yeah.
really gonna hate it. But I'm fucking suffering at the moment, man. It's this fucking stress. But luckily, I've got like India, like Sweden, like this event in Brazil, sort of keep you distracted. Hopefully we'll find out soon though. Hopefully we'll find out
I
soon.
love how everything you talks about is just so British. It's always like the pessimistic side of, well, oh my god, this is gonna be so shit, and oh my god, it's
Yeah,
so
why
warm
not?
and humid in December when I travel to work for
I'm
something.
not a pessimist. I'm a realist. And also, it's 4 degrees right now. 4 degrees is comfortable. 4 degrees is like I wish it could be like this all year round.
Yeah, okay. Well,
Yeah.
then Alaska would fit you, I think.
Yeah, I would love to go to Alaska, man. And can we have another? Can we have another Masters in Reykjavik? Like, I don't know. I don't want to go to tropical climates, man.
Oh yeah, that was like
Yeah.
peak pandemic as well, right?
Uh,
Oh,
what's
not
it
peak,
in
but
Reykjavik?
yeah, yeah,
It was
in
yeah. It was during the pandemic. It was in
yeah,
Reykjavik.
2021.
Yeah. It was brave to do it there.
Yeah, exactly. No,
But it worked.
no crowd as well.
Mm, yeah, worked though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah.
incredible. Like, do you think? Wait, do you think like there's gonna be more like online stuff after the pandemic? Like, do you think?
Nah, nah. Well, I casted the pandemic. Didn't do any events.
Yeah.
I've traveled 25. I'm gonna have traveled 25,000 miles, in the last 30 days. So, there's no more online stuff. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, it could be that they next time they hold an event in I don't know Montenegro, and then they say, "Hey, Kremer, do
That
you
would be
want
a
to
cool
cast?"
place to go.
Yeah.
I'd
So
like to go to Montenegro.
and then they were
That'd
like,
be a cool
"Hey,
place.
Kremer, do you want to cast for us? Do it online." Like
Yeah, yeah. That
yeah,
would be really shit. But I think I think TOs, because of online stuff, TOs have appreciated the value of having everyone in one place.
yeah.
And especially with a crowd as well. So I don't have any worries about that.
Okay. You never answered. Like what team? Like what region do you think will win the World Cup? Or the World
The World
Finals?
Cup.
The World.
That's coming home, brother. But,
No, yeah, I know. I mean
but
the World Finals in Valorant.
Asia, an Asian
Asia.
team's gonna win
Oh
it.
yeah, yeah.
It's about time we win something, man. We've not won one yet. We're gonna win this next one.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. We can talk about that a bit as well. As for the World Cup in Qatar, like, are you satisfied with England's performance?
England play downwards quite a lot. Like our group stages are usually really good, and we get more shit as it goes on. Actually, let's quick take a look at the bracket for the World Cup here. Uh, so I believe in the knockout stage. Oh, there we go. So we got Netherlands, Argentina, Croatia, Brazil, England, France, Morocco, and Portugal. I would love Morocco to win this or Croatia to win this, purely because I want an underdog story. England, France, we've beat them God knows how many times in over the course of history.
Yeah.
Football will probably be no different. Argentina, I would like the Netherlands to beat Argentina purely because they beat US for us. Um, but Argentina will probably win that. Croatia, Brazil, once again, I want Croatia to win that purely because they're the underdogs. And then Morocco, Portugal, I can't wait to see Twitter when Ronaldo gets knocked out and Messi's still in.
Oh yeah.
So I really want Morocco to win that game as well.
That's one thing I really hate about the Messi Ronaldo discussion. The thing is, like
Well, that's
one
because
person.
Messi's better.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
he just is.
It's that thing. It's that thing, right? You always talk about one is better or one is worse. Why not just appreciate two of the world's best footballers that's ever played the game
What I
play at
quite
the
like
same
about
time? You know?
what I quite like about Messi is he looks like a dude.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
could run into him at a pub, but Ronaldo's this like pampered little shit. Like, and it's like, yeah, and he goes fucking flying after he gets tackled, and like his. You see Messi like weave in and out of like six defenders. Ronaldo could never do that. Oh, Ronaldo's known for kicking taking a funny pose, then kicking a free kick, and then going see.
yeah.
Like that's all there is to it. Bollocks to that.
You know what? That's something.
Actually, you know what I do want to see?
Yeah.
This would make my tournament. Goes against Morocco, goes to penalties, knockout on penalties. Ronaldo misses Morocco score. Ronaldo threes and Portugal get knocked out of the World Cup.
Oh,
I would be overjoyed.
that would actually be unimaginable.
It would be fucking funny though.
Yeah.
I would be overjoyed to open Twitter and just watch the carnage.
But again, they are in the opposite brackets, so they could meet in the final.
Messi, Ronaldo, that would be pretty cool.
That
And
would
then it
be
goes to
pretty cool.
penalties. Messi
Yeah.
scores his, Ronaldo misses his.
Wouldn't that
Like,
almost be better because you lose gold? Like the second place team is by definition the biggest loser
yeah,
of the
but
tournament.
I think if you lose to Argentina, it's like you lost to Messi. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
fucking fair enough. If you lose to fucking Morocco, like,
Yeah,
it's. I
Who's
think
even
this is
on
the
that
furthest
shit,
Morocco have ever gotten a World Cup.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
if they win it, that would just be insane.
Absolute madness.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I actually don't have much more prepared. It
Ooh.
became a bit of everything. We came around a lot of different subjects. And of course, if anyone in the video has watched this far, write in the comments who's best, Messi or Ronaldo, and please and tell Kremer why he's wrong, or tell me why I'm stupid to having the opinion of just enjoying the football. And final words, shoutouts.
Final words. Thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure to be on an interview with you again, Puffin. The shout out I have, Puffin, is for you. Because you do some awesome journalist work, so I know your Twitter will be in the description. Go give him a follow, because his stuff's actually semi-decent. And from someone who usually doesn't like journalists, I make an exception for Puffin, because he's a sweetheart, and his work's actually quite good.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much for watching, everyone.